Hello everyone, it's Natasha here. Today I'm going to teach you how to create a photo grid using Photoshop. So you might have seen these photo grids on Instagram. It's a really popular technique right now. It's pretty much a photo collage on a white background that you swipe through. So what you want to do when you're first creating a photo grid is click Create New on Photoshop here, and we're going to customize our settings. Start with the title. I'm just going to name this Gloria's Photo Grid. I did a shoot with my friend Gloria the other day, and it turned out really well, so we're going to do one about her. Then we're going to keep the height at 1080 pixels. I know that you can create longer photos in Instagram, but 1080 is kind of like a standard if you want a square by square slide through. So we're going to just do 1080 today. And then the width is 1080 times how many slides you want to go across. So for this specific tutorial, I'm going to do 5 slides. So 1080 times 5 is 5400. So we're going to do that today. And I always just keep the background white. It's just kind of a cleaner look, but you can change that to whatever color you want. So once you're happy with those settings, you can just hit create there, and you'll see that it creates a long rectangle. Alright, so before you do anything, the most important step in this is to create grid lines. So you're going to go head to view, and you're going to click new guide layout. So this is where you separate each of your slides. So for 5 slide throughs, you want to do columns under 5. If it's 6, it's 6, and so forth. If you do have a gutter number right there, just change that to 0, but I don't have a gutter number just because I've done this tutorial so many times. Keep rows unchecked and just click OK. So now you have your 5 slide throughs. You're going to be placing photos in each of these grids. Don't worry, these lines won't be here when you're done. So I don't really know how to use Photoshop that well, but the way I place photos is clicking Place Embedded, and then just head to the photos that you want to use, and you can start placing them. I know some people can also drag the photos into individual Photoshop files. I just feel like I don't like keeping a bunch of tabs open on my Photoshop. When you're resizing the images, just make sure that your lock is on so you can keep the same aspect ratio. If it's unlocked and you're having struggles and all the photos are warping width and height wise, then hold Shift key to make them straight. Right now I just have preferred settings. I already have it auto scale on. And then you can just keep going, placing all the images into your rectangle as need be. I'm also not too stickler with sizes, but sometimes I put images over top of each other just to measure it out, just so they look identical on either side. The reason why I like using the white background is because I like the white border that goes around the images. So I try to space them out as even as possible. So right now I'm in a situation where I don't want the 2 photos overlapping. I want there to be a white border around this image just so I can, just so it matches the rest of the theme of the photo grid. So I'm gonna cut out with the bridge photo. So I'm gonna highlight the bridge photo, click the selector tool, and then trace around the outside just to create that white border. Go to your eraser tool, just press OK, and then erase that border there. So as you can see, I just created a border with simple select tool. It's really engaging. I like to keep the white borders consistent throughout. And we can place more photos. Make sure you always press enter or check the box up above when you place a photo, or else you won't be able to do other actions. Another way to move photos around instead of clicking with your mouse is to use the arrow keys to move them back and forth if you really want to get specific with the spacing in between the photos. So here's another example where I'm going to put borders around this photo here. So I want to cut off most of this photo. So I'm going to make sure that it's highlighted. I'm gonna bring the bridge to the foreground, take my selector tool, and create a white border here. If you want to readjust, you could just re-drag a new border line. Then I'm gonna click the photo I want to erase, get the eraser tool, and erase the border there. Now make sure that you left click and deselect, or else you won't only be able to work in that area. I'm also just gonna delete this top part here, just using my eye. Again, I'm not really an exact kind of person, but that looks pretty good. Deselect, and then you could just erase that little bit by yourself. So as you can see, I have at least one face in every frame right now. I do like putting photos on the lines though, just so people swipe back and forth. I feel like it's a little more engaging, and it looks really cool. I'm gonna readjust the size of the photo above. So I'm just gonna click the top photo, and then you do Control T, and you can resize it there. Remember, if your photos are changing width and height wise, just hold Shift while you drag the corners up and down, and it'll keep the same size. Control T again. And it's trying to lock to the other photos, so you can just use the arrow keys to move aside. So this photo grid is looking pretty good. I think I'm gonna add one more photo here. Even though all the verticals are the same size and the horizontal photos are the same size, I like the different spacing in between. For this one, these photos look really small, but once they're on Instagram, it's also gonna be you're gonna see them a lot more clearly. So I don't mind if some of these photos are very small right now. Just gonna put this one in the middle. Kind of like how the head is sticking out of this frame actually, just so people can slide back and front. And it also brings a little bit of character to the first frame. And I'm just gonna create a bit of a border on the top here. So again, selector tool. Just gonna grab the rest of the photo that's underneath right now. And there we go. Deselect. I wish there was a shortcut for deselect. There probably is, I just don't know about it. Just gonna center this one a little bit. Alright, so there's my finished photo grid. As you can see, at least one face is in every frame here. I'm really happy by the way this turned out. I like the overlap there. And I like how the beginning and end both have vertical photos. It kind of balances out. And then the middle one has the train track photo, the horizontal one. It feels very, very balanced. And I like how the spacing is different for every frame. Alright, so this is the part that a lot of people get stuck on. So right now you're gonna unlock the background layer. You're gonna select all of them and hit merge layers. This creates one file. Make sure that it is selected so you can use the layers. So now you have one file for this whole photo. Then you're gonna take your selector tool, and the reason why I use grid lines is because it's really, really easy to use the selector tool with these ones. So you just hover over the corner. It's okay if you're off by a little bit. And you can see that the pink line means that you captured the very edge of the photo. So if you drag it down to the bottom, you can see that everything is selected there. You can let go. Hit Control X to take the photo and see how it removes it there. Now we're gonna go File, New, and there should be a setting right at the beginning that says Clipboard. This is already measuring the photo that you have in your clipboard. And then Control V to paste. And there you are, your first frame. So you're gonna keep doing this method, pulling from the corners. This is why I use the grid layout system on Photoshop, just because it makes it so much easier. You don't have to measure it out yourself, and you know that you're not cutting off any edges, and you know it's going to be a clean swipe through once you put it on Instagram. So there you have it. Now you have 5 different file types for each of your slide throughs. So now you can just save these to whatever folder you want on your computer and transfer it onto Instagram, and there you are. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and you learned a lot. I know a lot of people are making these photo grids, but just wanted to share the lock guide system because it is very, very efficient and way better than you trying to measure out where each photo cuts.